अच्युतं केशवं रामनारायणं कृष्णदामोदरं वासुदेवं हरिं श्रीधरं माधवं गोपिकावल्लभं जानकीनायकं रामचन्द्रं भजे अच्युतं केशवं सत्यभामाधवं माधवं श्रीधरं राधितं इन्दिरामन्दिरं चेतसा सुन्दरं देवकी नन्दनं नन्दजं सन्ददे.
Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Shrutis-Puranas-Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Kesavam Bhadarayinam Travashya Gato Vande Bhagavanto Punah Punaha Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine व्योमवद्व्याप्त देहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः गुकारस्सन्धकारो वै दुकारस्तन्निवर्तकः अन्धकार निरोधित्वात् गुरुरित्यभिधीयते. ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः. ओम शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्तगोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्. We were looking at the verse 12. From verse 12 to verse 15, we seen in the last session, Ato vicharaha kartavyaha jignasoho atmavastunaha samasadhya dayasindham gurum brahma viduttamam. So why do you need this guru? That's normally a question people ask. So aren't you exposing yourself for exploitation and other kind of stuff? Because when we talk about guru, we generally talk about the surrender, right? Especially in the Vedantic parlance, guru is an altar of surrender. Guru is in whom you actually submit your ego and let the guru operate in a way that he or she can influence the way you look at things. With this kind of a stated position of a guru, are you really exposing yourself to an exploitation because the guru seems to become an all-powerful entity in this case? And if so, why do we even need to do that? So why can't I just study the Shastras myself? So that's typically a question that comes up. Now, then we need to understand what this whole teaching is about. Then you can understand why the status of guru is something different, right? Let's say I'm studying science. I don't need to have a great position for the guru in my frame, except that I consider him or her as a learned person who is adept at science. So when it comes to science, yeah, I can give credence to that particular teacher that he or she knows it very well, and then take it from there, right? So you don't really surrender yourself to that person as a teacher, but you just give that person a credence in terms of the knowledge that that person possesses in the subject matter the person is teaching. So there is no emotional commitment or any of those kind of stuff there. Okay. So whereas, let's look at what is the teaching here. The teaching here is about who you are. Okay. And it tries to alter how you look at the world as well. The reason is the teaching finally says all that is here is only you. And that you is the Ishvara. Really speaking, the one who has created and manifested as this world is in essence what you are. That's the teaching. So, which means it kind of falsifies your individuality. It falsifies the duality that you are experiencing today and reveals a status of you which is actually much beyond these things. So, in the process, your individuality gets falsified. But until that happens, you need to give a benefit of doubt to this Shastra, which is a pramana. So we need to understand what is a pramana first. Before we come to what is this teaching and what is the guru and all that, let's understand what is a pramana. Pramana means pramakaranam pramanam. That which is a means for knowing something. That's called a pramana. Then only anything can be called as a knowledge. So I say this cloth is yellow in color. So in order for me to say that it is yellow in color, I need a valid means of knowledge through which I perceive this color, isn't it? So I can't say that I heard a sound which was like a cracking sound from this cloth, therefore it is yellow. If I say that, then the cracking sound implies I'm a crackpot. Okay? So you won't even look at me in a very favorable light. Hey, something has happened to this fellow. Why don't you take him to a psychiatrist? So what is the expectation here? You need a valid means of knowledge. In order for you to say anything is a knowledge, there needs to be a valid means. Then only it's a knowledge. Otherwise, it's your notion. So, for color and form, there is a means of knowledge called eyesight. Similarly, for sound, you have a valid means of knowledge called hearing, the ears. So, all these together, the 5 means of knowledge that you have together are called as pratyaksha, direct perception. So, direct perception operates in the realm of what you objectify and intend to know. So, the objects that you want to objectify, like this cloth, this wall, this body, whatever it is, are known through direct perception. And then there are other means of knowledge that we can count, which again starts with inference. What is an inference? You see smoke on the fire, and then you say there is, a smoke on a mountain, and then you say there is fire. This is a stock example here, okay? There are many kinds of inferences we do in life, but the stock example given is you see the smoke in the mountain, and then you can say that there is fire in the mountain. And it's a valid knowledge. Even though there is no direct perception of the fire, still there is a valid knowledge there saying that there is fire, and it is irrefutable knowledge. And how did it happen? There is a direct perception of smoke, and you have already a knowledge that whenever there is smoke, there has to be a fire there. So you perceived smoke in the mountain, you didn't look at the smoke in your kitchen, you saw it in the mountain. So you can say that in the mountain there is fire. That's called an inference, 1-step inference. And then there can be 2-step inference, 3-step inference, called arthabhati. Upamana is about example. So you can give an example and then gain a knowledge, a reasonable knowledge. A bison looks like this. It has horns, it looks almost like a buffalo, but these are the differences between buffalo and a bison. So you can hear all that. And when you go to the forest, oh, there you see, that's the bison. You can say, that means what? You already knew the bison, even though there was no direct perception of the bison. So these are all means of knowledge for things that you objectify. Here, The knowledge you are seeking is the knowledge of the subject. And it is also said that the subject is all the objects included. There is no subject-object duality. Subject and object are one and the same, and that the reality of it is in the subject. That's the teaching. Now, if the subject needs to be known, who is the subject? I am the subject. Everything else here is an object to me. So when I need to know the nature of my own self, which the subject is, I cannot employ a means of knowledge like direct perception, inference, because the moment I employ a means of knowledge, I already have assumed the status of me being the knower. So when I am a knower and there is an object to be known, then there are already three things: the knower, known, and the process of knowing. This is called Triputi. That means there is no non-duality there. There is duality because already there are three things. At the minimum, two things. Right? There is a subject and an object. And even the process of knowing is a separate thing. And there's not even one object. There are many objects in the world. There are countless number of objects. And I'm one of the objects, and I'm also the knower of all these objects. So there's no non-duality here. So it implies that when I'm employing a means of knowledge like direct perception or inference or any of those things, I'm already lost in the process because I have already assumed the status of the knower. Therefore, for you to know yourself, you can't employ a means of knowledge. But you need a means of knowledge in order for anything to be a knowledge. Otherwise, you are only making guesses. So how do you solve this? So the solution to this is there is an independent means of knowledge which you don't employ. Like in the case of how do you see your face? You want to see your face. When you want to see your face, what do? You can't employ something and then like your eyes and go and search for your face, nor can you use your ears. So you need an independent means, which is a mirror. So you have a mirror in front of you. And there is a commitment to see your face, not the mirror, right? So when you are seeing a mirror, you are committed to see how your face looks. But then you still have to use the mirror. So you look into the mirror, you are looking into your face, and then you know who you are, how your face looks. It's the exact same thing here. So you need a means of knowledge which is independent of you, which you don't employ. And that means of knowledge are the words. It's called Shabda Pramana. The words which are like a mirror, and it makes you focus on your Swarupa, not as a knower, but as the content of the knower. So the content of the knower is what is revealed to you by these words. And how that the words reveal, there needs to be a methodology by which the words actually reveals a certain thing to you. Because if you look at the words, there is a natural question which will come to you. What is that? Every word that I know, I also know the meaning of those words. If I say there is a tree, I know the tree. If I say a cat, I know the cat. The object which the word cat, the sound cat, goes and attaches itself to, I know that. So every word reveals a thing which I already know. Otherwise, they are not even a word. Suppose I say Gagabagang. Gagabagang is not a word, it's just a sound because it doesn't have anything associated with it. Therefore, known words can reveal known things. All the objectified world probably is known to me. I mean, many of them are known to me. Some of them are not known to me, but then they are knowable to me as objects. So somebody tells a word and then tells, okay, this is how Apsaras looks. That's fine. Though I haven't objectified an Apsaras today, she is available for objectification at some point in time. So there is no problem. But it's an object. Anything is an object. So the words will reveal objects which are knowable to me or known to me. So these words, if they are used, by Shastra, that means I already know that. So here you are talking about a Brahman, which is supposed to be all that is here, the one thing which I already don't even know about. How do you use those words to reveal that to me? That's the question. So, the answer to that is, you can't say you don't know you. Nobody can say that I don't know me fully. You may not know you exactly who you are, but the fact that you exist, you know. And you have a certain notion of who you are. Everybody has. So it is not atyantam ajnatam, like it's not entirely unknown, totally unknown. But at the same time, it has not been dwelled into and known exactly what it is as well. People have certain understanding. So the point is, the words are used to reveal what is reasonably known to you, but then reveals a new fact about you, which makes you understand you better. For that, the words are used in a particular way by using a method called bhagatyaga, partial employment. I don't know, this is my translation. By relinquishing a certain aspect of your understanding about that word and retaining a certain aspect of the word, the same word is repositioned to reveal who you are. That's how the Shastra is used as a means to reveal your Swarupa. So the commitment here is not Shastra. The commitment is who you are. So we need to be very clear. Just like when we saw the mirror, the commitment is not about the mirror, but commitment is the face that is visible in the mirror or the image that is visible in the mirror. So that is what you are committed to. And similarly here, even when you are expounding the Shastra, your commitment is to know who you are. Atmajnana. That's how the Shastra reveals the Swarupa. It becomes a means, pramana, to reveal yourself to you. Now, for Shastra to operate as an independent means, you need to let the pramana operate without any hindrance. Let's say I want to see that this is yellow. You have to let your eyes see it. For that, you have to open your eyelids. But there is an advantage in these pramanas, except the Shabda pramana, the Pratyaksha pramana, for example, perception. So long as you have kept your eyes open and eyes have the right state, it's unhindered eyes, there's no defect in the eyes, then you cannot but see the cloth. That's why when there is a garbage van which is going, whether you like it or not, the smell enters your nose. You have to close your nose to stop it. So the pramana, just the means of knowledge, like direct perception, doesn't take your permission, it just works. And it can't be hindered by your mind. Whereas in the case of independent means, it is not a default means, but it's a deliberate means. So you need to have an unhindered access to the faculty that listens and assimilates the vision that is unfolded. So your ego cannot come in between, your existing notions cannot come in between, your emotions cannot come in between. If they don't come in between, then this knowledge can take place. But then all these will usually come in to interrupt the way you assimilate this vision. So for that, you need a certain tranquility, composure. That is where the whole karma yoga, chitta shuddhi and chitta naischalya that we spoke about briefly, they come into picture. Not only that, there needs to be a certain sense of surrender to the knowledge that is vision that is being expounded, because then only the pramana can operate. for pramana to operate, you should have a shraddha. You have to give a benefit of doubt to start with, to the Shastra as well as the Guru. Person who is teaching is also very important because, see, usually there is also an emotional factor involved here because your ahankara is going to be falsified. So it doesn't give itself up. There is always, when you see a person who is actually, if he's teaching a science, it doesn't matter how you emotionally look at that person. You're not surrendering. So long as, even if you hate the teacher, still the science will work. E equal to mc squared. Doesn't matter who teaches to you because there is no emotion involved there. But in this case, it's going to reorient who you are. So there is going to be a certain emotional obstruction here. So there needs to be a certain shraddha. Otherwise, your mind will say, hey, he's saying something, I don't agree to that. Okay? That is possible. So you need to give a benefit of doubt. To give it to the Shastra is the first thing. Even that may be difficult sometimes, but at least that is manageable. But to give it to a person who is teaching, there can be many reasons why your mind may protest. Could be psychological transference. There could be such reasons, right, that you can't fathom. So how do you circumvent it? To circumvent it is where the whole concept of shraddha comes into picture. So that's where you need to submit yourself to the Guru so that you are objective about what the Guru is saying. So you are open. So give him the benefit of doubt, him or her, until you gain that knowledge. So that is where Guru and Shastra are non-eliminatable. There is no other way for you to stumble upon this knowledge because pratyaksha, anumana, etc. don't work here. So you need an independent means. That is inevitable. You need to have it. Otherwise, you won't gain the knowledge. And why can't I do self-study? That could be the question. Unfortunately, because the words are going to reveal, just by reading those words, you won't get the intent of it. Why? Because like I said, the words reveal what you already know. Unless it is handled and repositioned by somebody who already has this vision. So the Guru has to handle the words. And how to handle them is learned through what is called sampradaya. Sampradaya is what teaches you the method to expound the vision of Veda. The vision of Veda needs to be, so the Guru has to take you to the right point from which you cannot but see. Like I want to see how the Kashmir Valley Ghati looks. Somebody needs to take me on top of a certain hill or a mountain to a point from where I can see the valley, open the eyes. Oh, wow, so good it looks. That is what a Guru does, takes you to a point from where you cannot but see. And that is achieved through how you handle the words, be as taught by the Sampradaya. Sampradaya is very important. Therefore, Shankaracharya actually says in a Bhashya, Asampradaya murkavatu upekshaniya. The person hasn't learned it through the Sampradaya, it is as well no use. It's like the person doesn't know. Don't even go near him or her. So it's very important that the Sampradaya with Guru is there. Brahmavitu uttamam daya sindhum samasadhya. Atmavastunaha vicharaha kartavyaha. So that's how the knowledge takes place. So when it is expounded through a proper prakriya, prakriya means a methodology. Sampradaya is the teaching tradition. Prakriya is the method of how to reveal. For example, Srishti Prakriya, it's a Prakriya. How did the whole world came about? The manifest world. There was somebody who reached out to me saying, I'm a scientist, I work on, some of these evolutional aspects. Can you spend some time and talk about how evolution is taken a look at by the Shastras? Okay. So I told there is no commitment to creation because every Upanishad talks about creation differently. There is a Trivat Karanam, there is Panchi Karanam, there are so many different ways, which means the commitment is not about the process of creation, but just to show that all that is here is one. It's just a methodology. It's a prakriya. Srishti prakriya, it's a method to show what is there. And we actually finally arrive at a position that all that is here is just same Brahman. There is nothing else. You see as though there is something else, but the something else is also Brahma only. Therefore, the Vedanta actually says all that is here is Brahma, Satyam, which is Ishvara, which is the only reality that is there. We don't generally talk about Maya and all this stuff. Okay. Let's be very clear, because some people call us as Mayavadi and all that. We have no commitment on Maya. It's like Srishti. We have no commitment on Srishti. The Srishti is just used to reveal the Swarupa, which is actually Brahma. In fact, there is nothing that you can talk about if you look at the reality, because everything is unreal except for that one Swarupa, which is Brahma. So where is there anything to teach or reveal or anything? Okay. Who is the revealer? Who is it being revealed to? So, but then that doesn't give you any kind of benefit, right? So we have to assume a certain reality to the duality and then teach. In that context, we use certain words, certain methodologies, certain prakriyas, which includes Maya, Mithya, and all that. So when somebody is contesting and asking us to prove what is Maya and all that, we don't have to prove, because we don't even take the position that they exist. The only thing that exists is Brahma. That's it. There's nothing else. There's no Maya or anything. Okay, so let's be very clear. So I know we just stopped with this verse itself today, but it's important we understand the position of the Guru, the position of the Shastra. So with that, we'll just quickly read the next one and then probably stop for the day. Medhavi Purusho Vidvane Puha Poha Vikakshanaha Adhikari Atmavidyayam Uktalakshana Lakshitaha. So who is the right person to even start learning this? That's the question. Do I need to have a certain qualification to even get into the Shastra? So that's addressed by this verse here, Medhavi. The one who has a certain capacity to assimilate, retain certain knowledge. Vidwan, who has already learned certain scriptures, as in grammar, because you're still going to use what words? The import of the words. And when somebody is teaching that this is a Bhagatyaga Lakshana, this portion of the word, you need to let go and then understand this is what you are. Yadrupena ennistitam tadrupam napyapicharati tat satyam tom satyam jnanam anandam brahma. Let's say the Shastra says. Now I need to understand what this means to some extent, right? So you need to be a Vidwan in terms of grammatical knowledge, linguistic abilities, and able to assimilate certain logical positions, right? Uha Boha Vichakshanaha, who can understand certain arguments. Because since this whole knowledge is going to be transferred through the words, there will always be certain obstructions in assimilating what is being told. There could be questions, there could be perspectives. So whichever is contrary to the vision being unfolded need to be dismissed so that you can assimilate the knowledge better. So in order for you to assimilate this, you need to have a certain capacity to understand the arguments for and against a certain vision. So such kind of a person who has a basic skill, ability is an adhikari and should be also emotionally mature. So that is what is being started off in this verse. So a lot of next few verses are going to be talking about the qualification for somebody who wants to gain this knowledge, which we will see as we move forward. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.